What if the device your kid is staring at right now is literally rewiring their brain in ways that won't show up until they're teenagers? And here's the thing, yours is too. We don't usually think about it that way because the changes happen so quietly, so gradually, that by the time we notice something's off, the patterns are already set. Most families have no idea that the way they're using technology right now is creating invisible habits that are shaping how everyone thinks, sleeps, focuses, and connects with each other. Not in some distant future way. Right now. Today. Think about your typical evening. Someone's scrolling through their phone at dinner. Someone else is half watching a show while texting. Your kid is upstairs on a device doing homework. Everyone's physically in the same house, but mentally somewhere else entirely. And the worst part? Nobody really planned for this to happen. It just kind of evolved. The truth is, we imported technology into our homes without ever asking the most important question: what kind of family do we want to be? And does the way we're using these devices help us get there, or does it pull us away? Here's what makes this so tricky. Technology isn't evil. Not even close. It connects us to people we love across continents. It educates us. It entertains us. It helps us work and create and solve problems. But like any powerful tool, it has a shadow side. And that shadow grows larger the less intentional we are about how we use it. Most families are operating on autopilot when it comes to devices. There's no real plan. No conversations about why we're using something or what we're actually getting from it. We just kind of use them. And then we wonder why nobody's really present anymore. Why dinners feel rushed. Why your teenager seems anxious. Why you can't remember the last conversation you had with your spouse that wasn't interrupted by a notification. This isn't about being anti-technology. It's about being pro-family. It's about recognizing that the choices you make today about how your household relates to screens will directly shape the mental health, focus, relationships, and even sleep quality of everyone under your roof. Let me give you a concrete example. A family I know, parents in their 40s, 2 kids aged 9 and 14 realized they had a problem when their daughter was up until midnight scrolling, exhausted but unable to stop. Their son was getting anxious about missing notifications at school. And the parents? They were checking their phones first thing in the morning before even saying hello to their kids. Nobody had intentionally decided this should be their life. It just happened because everyone was following the path of least resistance. So what did they do? They didn't throw the devices in a bonfire. They didn't pretend they lived in 1995. Instead, they got intentional. And within a few weeks, things shifted. Not perfectly, but noticeably. Now, what changed wasn't magic. It was actually pretty straightforward. But it required one thing most families skip entirely: a real conversation about what they actually wanted. They started by identifying what technology was genuinely valuable for them. For the daughter, it was connecting with a friend group at school and accessing educational resources. For the son, it was gaming, which actually helped him unwind. For the parents, it was work communication and staying connected to family. They weren't trying to minimize everything. They were trying to be honest about what was worth the cost. Then they set some boundaries. Not rules imposed from above, but boundaries the whole family agreed on because they made sense. No devices during dinner. Phones stay out of bedrooms after 8 p.m. The first 30 minutes after everyone gets home is device-free time where you actually talk to each other. Did everyone stick to it perfectly? No. But here's what mattered. They had a shared understanding about why these boundaries existed. It wasn't arbitrary. It was connected to something they all cared about. And this is where things get interesting. Within a few weeks, the anxiety started dropping. Sleep improved. Dinner conversations got longer and more genuine. The kids were actually more engaged at school because they weren't exhausted from staying up on their devices. The parents felt less guilty and distracted. Now, I want to be clear about something. This isn't a story about how technology is the enemy. The devices didn't go anywhere, but the relationship changed. If you're trying to figure out where to even start with something like this in your own family, there are a few places that matter more than others. And if you're interested in concrete strategies that actually work instead of just theory, subscribing helps you stay in the loop. We're constantly exploring how families can use technology intentionally instead of just reactively, and the landscape changes so fast that it's easy to miss what's actually working. One of the biggest places to start is sleep. And this one's science-backed in a way that's almost impossible to argue with. The blue light from screens suppresses melatonin production, which means your brain thinks it's still daytime even when it's 9 p.m. Your teenager's sleep schedule gets thrown off. Your sleep gets thrown off. And then everyone's more irritable, less focused, less patient with each other. It's like you're all operating on a slight sleep deficit all the time, and you don't even realize it's because of the devices. So here's the practical piece. Devices out of bedrooms at least 30 to 60 minutes before sleep. Not just your kids' devices. Yours too. And I know, that feels impossible because you're probably using your phone as an alarm or checking emails right up until you sleep. But consider this. Is that late-night email really worth the fact that you're not sleeping as deeply? That your brain is slightly activated when it should be winding down? There's actually a really simple solution. Get an actual alarm clock. I know that sounds like we're going backwards, but here's the thing, an alarm clock does one job, and it does it perfectly. And it means your phone isn't in your bedroom, creating a source of temptation and light pollution. Another major area is what we might call ambient presence. This is the idea that even when you're not actively using a device, having it visible and available keeps a small part of your attention on it. Your phone sits on the table, and even though you're technically focused on dinner, a part of your brain is wondering if there's a notification. A part of you is waiting for that little dopamine hit. The solution? Put devices completely out of sight during family time. Not just face down. Actually out of the room if possible. I know this sounds drastic, but the science on this is clear. When people can't see their devices, they're genuinely more present. Not because they're forcing themselves, but because there's no stimulus triggering the habitual urge to check. One family I spoke with started keeping all phones and tablets in a basket in the kitchen during dinner and for an hour after. They called it the phone graveyard. Did it feel weird at first? Absolutely. Were there jokes and resistance? Yes. But after about 2 weeks, something shifted. People started actually talking to each other. Real conversations. The kind where you ask a question and actually listen to the answer instead of half listening while thinking about what you're going to say next. Now let's talk about something that affects basically every family with kids, social media. And I'm not going to lecture you about how terrible it is, because the reality is more nuanced than that. But here's what's actually happening. For younger kids, social media creates a kind of comparison machine that their brains aren't equipped to handle. They see highlight reels of other people's lives and their brains process it as reality. Then they feel inadequate because their own life doesn't match these carefully curated images. Add in the algorithmic nature of how these platforms work, designed specifically to keep you engaged, which usually means showing you content that triggers emotion, often negative emotion, and you've got a recipe for anxiety. For teenagers, it's the social currency piece. Being left out of a group chat feels like actual social rejection because, to their developing brain, it kind of is. The fear of missing out isn't just a feeling, it's neurologically real. So what do you do about this? Again, not ban it completely, because that usually backfires. Instead, you build literacy around it. You help your kids understand that these platforms are designed to addict them. You show them how the algorithm works. You help them notice when they feel worse after using it versus better. One practical thing is encouraging your kids to follow accounts that make them feel good instead of accounts that make them feel inadequate. And then you actually sit down with them and look at their feed together. Not in a spying way, but in a teaching way. Talk about what they're seeing. Ask them how they feel after scrolling for 30 minutes. This is the conversation most families never have. And it matters so much. Now, there's something else that's been changing rapidly, and it's worth paying attention to: screen time during school. Not just homework time, but actual educational screen time. Most schools now have kids on devices for learning, which creates this weird gray area where it's hard to tell if screen time is educational or recreational or somewhere in between. Here's what I'd suggest. Help your kids understand the difference between active learning on a screen and passive consumption. Active learning is when they're solving problems, creating something, writing, researching with intention. Passive consumption is scrolling, watching videos without specific purpose, mindlessly browsing. The first actually engages their brain. The second kind of numbs it. One strategy is asking your kids questions about what they did on their device. Not interrogating, but genuinely curious. What did you work on? What did you learn? What was tricky about it? If they can articulate something, they were probably doing something meaningful. If they just say nothing or just surfing, you've got a gentle opening to talk about what would be more engaging. Let me shift gears for a moment and talk about something that's rarely discussed: the tech industry's relationship with family wellness and what that means for your choices. Here's the honest truth. The companies that make these devices and platforms are not incentivized by your family's well-being. They're incentivized by engagement, by time spent on their platform, by your attention. This isn't because they're evil people. It's just how the business model works. When a product is free, you're not the customer, your attention is. You're the product being sold to advertisers. And the product you're being sold is your attention and data. This doesn't mean you should be paranoid or refuse to use technology. It just means you should be informed. When your kid is using an app, understand that app was probably designed by a team of engineers specifically to maximize how long they use it. The notifications they're getting? Strategically timed to create habits. Understanding this is actually empowering because it means you're not fighting some mysterious force. You're fighting a deliberate design. And once you know that, you can start to outsmart it. This might look like turning off notifications. All of them. Yes, all of them. I know the idea of missing something sounds terrifying, but nothing is actually urgent. If someone needs you badly enough, they'll call. Everything else can wait until you specifically check it. And when you're not getting constant notifications, your focus improves dramatically. Your anxiety drops. Your whole nervous system relaxes. Another strategy is using the Do Not Disturb feature on your devices. Not just at night, but during work, during dinner, during family time. You're not unavailable. You're just available on your own schedule, not on the algorithm's schedule. Here's something that might seem small, but is actually significant: the spaces you create in your home matter. If your living room is basically a theater where everyone stares at screens, that's what people are going to want to do. But if your living room is set up as a place where you can talk, play board games, read, hang out, then people naturally gravitate toward those activities. One family made this shift by literally removing the streaming services from their living room TV and replacing them with things that required intention and conversation. They still watch things, but they had to decide together what they wanted to watch. It sounds simple, but it actually changed the dynamic. Watching something became something they did together intentionally instead of something they did to avoid each other. I'd also suggest thinking about what technology is replacing. What would you be doing if devices didn't exist? Playing board games? Reading to your kids? Talking? Playing outside? These aren't just nice things to do instead of being on screens. They're actually crucial for development, connection, and mental health. So the question isn't just how much screen time is too much? It's also, what are we not doing because we're on screens? Now, I want to address something real, which is that this is hard. It's genuinely hard. We're all addicted in various ways. The technology is designed to be addictive. And our brains are wired to enjoy the dopamine hits that come from notifications, likes, follows, and updates. So when you try to create healthier patterns, there will be resistance. From your kids, from your spouse, from yourself. That resistance is normal. It doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It means the old patterns are comfortable even if they're not serving you well. The approach that works best is to be gentle and compassionate about this. Not rigid, not punitive, just intentional. You're not trying to be perfect. You're trying to be a little more conscious about choices you're making on behalf of your family. One framework that helps is asking yourself this question regularly. Is this technology serving us, or are we serving it? Is this making our family life better, or is it getting in the way? And then, what small change could we make this week to shift things slightly toward what we actually want? Small changes compound. If you create one device-free dinner a week, that's 52 dinners a year where your family is actually present with each other. If you put phones away 30 minutes before bed, that's roughly 23 hours a month of better sleep quality. If you turn off notifications, that's countless hours a month of less anxiety and more focus. These aren't huge overhauls. They're small shifts in a different direction. But small shifts repeated consistently become your new normal. Here's what I've noticed about families who really nail this. They don't feel like they're depriving themselves. They feel like they're gaining something. More connection, better sleep, fewer fights, more genuine conversations, more presence. These aren't restrictions. They're upgrades. The version of family life where everyone's present, engaged, genuinely interested in each other. That's not deprivation. That's actually what most people want but don't know how to get back to. So where do you start? Pick one area. Just one. Maybe it's phone-free dinner. Maybe it's devices out of bedrooms. Maybe it's turning off notifications. Pick something that feels achievable, commit to it for 2 weeks, and see what shifts. Then pay attention. Notice how you feel. Notice how your family interacts. Notice what gets better and what's harder than you expected. Use that information to decide what to try next. This is something you get to shape. Your family's relationship with technology isn't predetermined. It's something you actively create through the choices you make every day. What's one change you think your family would benefit from most? I'm genuinely curious what stands out to you. Let me know in the comments.